Welcome to the Rewatch Ryan YouTube channel. Happy October 3rd. We're 3 days into 31 days, 31 horrors, one watch along per day covering a classic horror movie that I've never seen before. If this is your first time at the channel, I've already talked about Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. I've seen Rosemary's Baby. Today, we are staying inside 1968 and we're going to watch George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. My name is Ryan Snelling and you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Letterboxd at Rewatch Ryan. I'm always excited to do these, but I'm especially excited today because I finally figured out my workflow and how to edit these properly. I thought the Rosemary's Baby reaction was way better than the Psycho reaction. Whether you guys saw it or not, it makes me feel better. So I'm just glad to be here and excited I didn't get a single copyright block. Follow along with me and the movies that we're going to discuss all month long on my Letterboxd. You can see links in the description down below. You can follow me there, but also see the list of every single movie I'm going to cover day to day. There are 34 movies on the list. I gave 3 extra just in case I decide to skip one of the sequels that I put on the list. So there's that. There's still a ton of movies left to watch in October, and I'm just so stoked. But back to Night of the Living Dead, directed by George A. Romero. I know that Romero is the godfather of modern zombie storytelling. I put modern in air quotes because I'm sure it's still evolved and changed quite a bit, but regardless, I know that he's responsible. I know he wears big nerd glasses. I know that the kids in Super 8 were sort of making like a Romero-esque inspired zombie movie inside there, but I literally know nothing, again, about Romero, about this movie. I don't know if it's a small contained story. I don't know if it's globe spanning. I'm excited to learn a lot more about it, but I am a little bit worried because I don't know if there's a narrative backbone to this, the way that there was for Rosemary's Baby, the way that there was for Psycho. I think that's really why I responded to those movies so much, is just the story and the characters, and knowing that this is just a zombie movie, I just don't know if it's going to be there. I just feel like this is more of a reason for gore, for kills, and it's just not something I respond to, but I'm hoping it proves me wrong, and I'm hoping that it has a lot more to offer. I also hope that the visual effects don't age it too much. I noticed when I was making the YouTube thumbnail that this was actually remade in 1990, which was the year I was born. I don't really have a point to make, I just noticed that. But anyway, I'm ready to sit down. Let's talk 1968's Night of the Living Dead. I don't know that I knew that this was in black and white. It's all good. You know, I have to say real quick, I should have said it in my intro, Night of the Living Dead. I should have said it in my intro. Growing up in middle school, I had a camcorder and a group of friends. Every weekend, we'd go to each other's houses and make monster movies. A lot like the kids did in Super 8. Like, that's why Super 8 I'm so fond of, because it reminds me of my childhood. And like this already, this looks like Kentucky. This looks like where me and my friends would film these types of movies. We had zombie masks, we had evil clown masks. So this takes me back to that simple time. And anyway, I'm just really happy. But this is kind of a similar looking setting. I think I saw that the movie takes place in Pennsylvania. Yeah, so anyway, I'm just very fond of this already, even though all we've seen is an old classic car driving to a cemetery. And if you haven't noticed, too, based on the edit, this is in 4:3. It's not widescreen, so yeah, it's even cooler.
They ought to make the day the time changes, the first day of summer.
What?
Well, it's 8 o'clock and it's still light.
A lot of good the extra daylight does us. Now, we've still got a 3-hour drive back. We're not going to be home until after midnight.
Well, if it really bugged you, Johnny, you wouldn't do it.
Mother wants to remember, so we trot 200 miles into the country and she stays.
This is exactly the kind of character that the dead should rise up and haunt. Someone who doesn't respect. Oh, by the way, I know none of the actors in this movie. I think the weirdest thing about watching movies like this is that when I made movies did a lot of the same things, like a lot of the shots, but I'd never seen them. I think it's very weird. I know it sounds like I'm saying Romero has the filmmaking skills of a 13-year-old, but I'm not.
I wonder what happened to the one from last year. Each year we spend good money on these things. We come out here and the one from last year's gone. Hey, come on, Barb. Church was this morning, huh?
Dude, just stretch your legs at least. My God, 3-hour drive. Is that a freaking zombie already? Out the gate? Or is that a drunk bum?
I jumped out at you from behind the tree, and Grandpa got all excited, and he shook his fist at me, and he said, "Boy, you be
Why are you
damned
wearing
to hell."
driving gloves?
They're coming for you, Barbara. They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
Johnny!
We're already into this. Alright.
Oh! No!
I'll be honest, that's more than what I expected of Johnny, that's for sure. Why didn't she just steer? No power steering. No way I'm gonna be able to play this with sound on YouTube. So, I guess the first thing I'm watching are the movements. How the zombie works. It's a little bit more frantic. There's a little bit more thought behind his eyes, I feel like. You know, the strategy of grabbing a rock and breaking the car open. It's not an entirely mindless creature. I also noticed that he's not really made up. I mean, he's got some gross teeth and his clothes are tattered, but yeah, that's my big takeaway right now is I'm kind of, I don't know. I didn't expect this look. I feel like that was a completely pointless scare. Alright. It's just like action for the sake of action. Just needed something to do to turn that corner.
It's all right. Don't worry about him. I can handle him. Probably be a lot more of them as soon as they find out about us. The truck is out of gas.
This pump out here is locked. Is there a key? We can try to get out here if we can get some gas. Is there a key?
Oh, he's got 3 kills.
They know we're in here now.
So let's recap. So far, I'm surprised by all the action. I mean, it has just been full throttle since this movie started. It has definitely aged the worst out of the 3 movies that I've watched so far, and I hate to be like that, but I'm already kind of... This movie looks and feels like what I was afraid the other 2 movies would feel like, and I just think that it's not as easy to buy into. It's a little distracting, but I also love that it's run and gun. I was gonna say, and if they don't take time like this to stop, then Barbara doesn't have a chance to do anything other than that face.
God damn!
Me right now. Zombie falls down the chimney. If Romero zombies came down chimneys, that'd be sick. This is the second 1968 movie that takes place in 1966. Rosemary, I thought to mention that in the Rosemary's Baby commentary, that movie was released in 68, but it starts in 65, 66. The calendar on this house says 66. I wonder why that is. Did it just take that long for movies to be distributed, or is it just a coincidence, or... Yeah, I don't know. It's also interesting to watch this on the back of Rosemary's Baby, knowing that they came out in the same year, because it's yeah, one's in black and white, one's in color. I mean, they're wildly different, but I feel like it's more about what the filmmakers had at their disposal instead of like creative choices.
And he grabbed me. He grabbed me. And he ripped at me. He held me and he ripped at my clothes.
I think you should just calm down.
Oh, I screamed, Johnny!
He gets to tell a story, but she doesn't.
Maybe we better go out and get him. We have to go out and get Johnny. He's out there.
Yeah, Johnny's out
Please,
there.
don't you hear me? We've got to go out and get him.
Watch the big twist be like Johnny's
We have
just
got to
the
go
zombie
get
that
Johnny.
attacks later.
Please help me.
This has to be hell for this guy.
My brother is not
This is
dead.
his survival companion.
Oh.
Barbara might... God! Man, I don't like either of these people now. This is the world's worst pairing for an apocalypse. So we're officially 1/3 into this movie, and I will say that based on what I've seen so far, this is just not really my thing. And one of the reasons why horror is probably not a genre I respond to. You know, a lot of times these movies, the premises and everything, there's a disconnect because it's hard to buy into premises and reactions and some of the acting, and it's not that I find it like terrible or anything. It also hasn't aged well for me. I was bound to run into this. I was bound to find myself in this situation because I'm not a horror guy, and this is just kind of the thing that I don't really respond to that much. But it is, I mean, it's fun to make fun of it, and it's fun to watch it for the first time.
On to you, reports which have been verified as completely as is possible in this confused situation. It is happening, and it would appear that no one is safe from this wave of mass murder.
Hold it! Don't shoot! We're from town.
A radio. Now, wait a minute. You just got finished saying you couldn't hear from down there. Now you say it sounded like the place was being ripped apart. It would be nice if you get your story straight, man.
All right, now you tell me. I'm not going to take that kind of a chance when we got a safe place. We luck into a safe place, and you're telling us we got to risk our lives just because somebody might need help, huh?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, why don't we settle this?
Look, mister, we came up, okay? We're here.
I was gonna say, who
Now I
cares?
suggest we all go back downstairs before any of those things find out we're in here.
They can't get
This
it.
conversation's stupid.
Got the whole place boarded? His wife and kids downstairs. The kids hurt.
I was gonna say, what about the fact that your numbers just doubled? Isn't the top floor the best place? I mean, can't you just take them all out as they come up the stairs?
So let's at least consider this a while.
That guy has such like a why I oughta. Depending on what these videos attract, there's gonna be a lot of telling me why something is great. Based on my reaction, because this is just like, what am I supposed to do other than roll my eyes or laugh or make fun of? Is that where they discover the headshot takes him out? I mean, those shots are cool.
We've got to get down into the cellar.
Go down in your damn cellar. Get out of
If
here!
you stay in the cellar and they come in the house, you can never get out of the cellar.
Radio upstairs. I heard a news bulletin.
There's a radio upstairs and you boarded us in down here?
I know
That's
what
all
I'm
right,
doing.
turn on him.
What did it
Turn on
say?
Mr. Cooper.
Nothing.
He's an idiot.
They don't know anything yet. There's mass murder everywhere, and people are supposed to look for a safe place to hide.
Take the boards off that door.
We are staying down here, Helen.
Harry, that radio is at least some kind of communication. How are we going to know what's going on if we lock ourselves in this dungeon?
Why oughta? I was gonna say, I really don't want this scene with the Coopers to last much longer. Go back upstairs. Was that a jump? Is that a jump cut? My God.
This place is ridiculous. Look at this.
This guy hates this
There's
house.
a million weak spots out here.
Mr. Cooper hates this house so much. I hope this ending, like, balls out. I would really appreciate that. It's got a little Joaquin Phoenix to him. Not, like, acting ability, just, you know. Here it comes. Oh. Is he in a toga?
You ready upstairs?
Yeah.
Okay, toss him!
Here we go. Here we go. Alright, we're off, Mr. Cooper. Let's go. Oh, God. Oh. I knew that was happening. Ah. I was gonna say, just poke him with the fire. I mean, there is a lot, but you know.
Cooper!
If he goes in the stupid cellar, redemption. Well done. Well done. I respect and appreciate the DNA of this movie. Some of this stuff hasn't really aged, because really what it comes down to is that movies like this, we're never actually interested in the characters. I don't care about any of these characters. I want to see some zombie action, maybe a cool set piece or two, but like any type of character work just like doesn't cut it in this movie when it's not narratively rich whatsoever. And again, this is sort of like, this is where it all started. This is the inception of this genre, but I feel like this is a pretty easy movie to evolve from and to improve upon. So it's all there, and in 1968 in the theater, sure, it's exciting, but the basic definition of evolution is that it's advancement. So this is going to be the one that doesn't click.
Well, one of us could try to get to the car.
You're gonna turn it over by yourself?
You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.
From covering such a search and destroy operation against the ghouls, this one conducted by Sheriff
Ghouls. This is pre-zombie.
A ghoul can be killed by a shot in the head or a heavy blow.
Now that is the greatest contribution in cinema history.
Are they slow moving, Chief?
Yeah, they're dead. They're...
You ought to be able to wrap this up in 24 hours?
You want to know what I would prefer? If our characters found out all of these rules. I think that would be a lot more interesting. And historically, too. I mean, it would make these characters more iconic when we talk about the horror genre, you know? The movie character that came up with the idea that you can kill a zombie with a headshot. Like, it just came across in the least interesting way possible. You know what's crazy? If you were upstairs right on the roof, you could light them all on fire.
Get over here, man! Come on!
Go ahead. Go ahead. You want to stay up here now? Helen?
You're still stupid. Barbara sucks. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. A zombie wearing gloves. I was gonna say, throw her ass out of the house. That was never the move. Easiest kill in the world. I was gonna say. Yeah, waste all your bullets. Now you're gonna turn into an idiot. Well, you proved yourself right. You're hiding in the death trap. I will admit, that is kind of scary. I'm not gonna lie. That's working for me.
You want to get about 4 or 5 men and a couple dogs? There's a house over here behind those trees. We want to go check it out. Somebody had a cookout here, Vince.
Yeah, sure looks like it, Tom.
This would have been the cooler movie. That whole thing. That whole team of marauders. That's so sick.
All right, Vince, hit him in the head, right between the eyes. Okay, he's dead. Let's go get him. That's another one for the fire.
Oh, God. Alright guys, before I get into my reaction, make sure you go check out this QR code right here. You get a 30-day free trial of Audible on me. You can also find the link in the description down below. Just go to audibletrial.com/rewatch. Not rewatch Ryan, audibletrial.com/rewatch and get a 30-day free trial of Audible on me. Alright guys, so my reaction to Night of the Living Dead. I think you pretty much know how I feel based on how I was involved in the movie. I mostly got what I expected. I mean, this movie is its own type of horror. It's this type of horror that has a lot of fandom to it. People love this kind of movies. It definitely spawned an entire genre, and I get that. But this is kind of when we get to objective and subjective truths. And this is sort of the battle that I've had over the years covering movies, whether it be for Collider and Schmoes Know. I know that there are passionate horror fans out there, and this is the kind of movie that I think about when I say this is just not my bag, this is just not my thing, because ultimately I find the story and the premise to be thin when you don't have a rich narrative and strong characters behind it. So you can tell me objective things about how this was the beginning of the zombie genre. You know, we wouldn't have whatever we have if it wasn't for this movie. I know that. Whenever I say I don't like a movie or a genre, I'm not saying that those truths aren't true. I'm not denying those truths. It comes down to subjectivity, how you feel, what you respond to. And honestly, I know this probably upsets people, but this is the kind of movie where I see fandom for it and I'm like, this is just graded on a curve. Look, I get how exciting the premise is, but it's not enough to keep me on for, what, an hour and 35 minutes, however long this movie was. I mean, this is just kind of the thing that I don't respond to, and it's okay, and I don't need to hammer it home. Compared to Psycho, compared to Rosemary's Baby, this is not my cup of tea, and I expected it. Knowing what my tastes are already, I saw the writing on the wall, and it just so happened to be true. And of course, I wanted it to be a movie that kind of invited me in to this world, but it wasn't, and that's okay. And maybe that part of my taste will never change. Maybe I'll just find horror movies that I unfortunately probably put in a box that didn't deserve it, but I'm probably just not going to respond to any movie like this. It was fun to watch and react to with you, but I also run the risk of, you know, inviting horror fans to this channel and just like getting annoyed with, like, not that I really care either. Like, you need to be an adult about what we're doing here and like have a laugh. There were a couple of shots that were cool, a couple of effects shots, but a lot of the movie took me out of it. I just think it's aged poorly. And again, part of evolution, this is any art form, not just cinema, not just television. With any art form, we evolve, we move on with the times, and we advance. That's what evolution is about. It's adaptation, advancement. So the reason why the zombies genre is so successful, I think, is because we've done it better since then. So do we owe this movie a lot of credit? Of course. But that doesn't mean that we haven't done it better. So, you know, those objective or subjective things I've always battled with horror fans with. It's like, you can tell me all you want, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it never will change how I feel. Ever. You can tell me that this was the greatest movie, this was the highest grossing movie. I know it wasn't, but you can tell me something like, oh, this is the highest grossing movie of all time, this and that, this and that. It doesn't change how I feel. I'm 2 for 3 so far, and that is A-okay with me. I think personally though, tomorrow I think we're gonna get right back on track because I am watching The Exorcist for the very first time. I think I'm gonna find myself back in my lane. I'm gonna find myself excited about another huge horror classic that I'm ashamed to have never seen. So I'm sorry if I disappointed you with my reaction to Night of the Living Dead, but there's always tomorrow. There's always my reaction to The Exorcist. We also have the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming up, the original Wicker Man, Carrie, all kinds of good stuff coming. Another zombie movie here, Dawn of the Dead, is coming up in a few days. Who knows? Maybe I'll dig Dawn of the Dead more. But you have to subscribe to this channel and find out. Please, thank you so much for hanging out with me yet again. I'll see you tomorrow when I watch and react to The Exorcist. I greatly appreciate your support. Again, like this video, subscribe, comment down below, be respectful. Let's have a discussion about Night of the Living Dead and all of these other horror classics. Thank you so much. Again, find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Letterboxd, at RewatchRyan. Everything's in the description down below. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.